From the NewsChannel 5 network, this is SportsLine.
Hey there, SportsLine on your television. Steve Lehman here with you. Glad you are here with us on this Wednesday night. And it has been a busy day all day long. This was supposed to be the day that the Titans reopened St. Thomas Sports Park. Players were supposed to get back inside with the coaches, get on the practice field this afternoon, and begin preparations for a game week once again. Getting set for an AFC showdown on Sunday afternoon against the Bills, which is still scheduled for noon at Nissan Stadium. But woke up to news this morning that there were 2 positive tests from yesterday's batch at St. Thomas Sports Park from players. So that changes things significantly right now. One of them confirmed, and this afternoon Corey Davis went on the COVID-19 reserve list for the Titans. He becomes the 21st member of the organization to be affected by having a positive test. He becomes the 11th player now to go on the COVID-19 reserve list. The other positive from this morning was unable to be confirmed, and so it's being retested, and a new sample from today, as always happens, is going in tomorrow. So we'll know more about that one probably in the morning, perhaps another one on the way. Perhaps it was a faulty test. We'll find out. But the bottom line is there was another positive test today for the Titans, and that meant that the facility did not open today as they were hoping to do. Meanwhile, as we reported last week, and then again today, and it's growing more attention around the country as the story continues to unfold, several Titans players held a workout last Wednesday at Montgomery Bell Academy. Now, these are players who tested negative, they felt fine, and they were thinking at the time, we've got a game coming up, if not Sunday, Monday or Tuesday of this weekend against the Steelers. Got to stay in shape somehow. We got to get ready somehow. And so they took it upon themselves to get together outside and throw some passes and work out and do some of those things. Paul Kuharsky, who's going to join us here in a few minutes to talk all about this, also reports that a group of defensive backs met later that day at Rose Park to get in some level of a workout. Now, here's the thing about this, and this is where it gets confusing. I hope Paul will help clear some of it up with us on the program here tonight. But when St. Thomas Sports Park was shut down a week ago Tuesday, the facility was shut down, and the memo that the league sent out said all in-person activities need to cease. But it did not specifically explain or go into detail in a worldwide setting in this memo whether players were able to do things on their own. They couldn't go to the facility. They weren't allowed to be on the field there. They weren't allowed to work out there. But was there any directive, explicit directive from the NFL to say that they couldn't work out on their own? They couldn't get a couple guys together on their own. If you aren't in quarantine, if you haven't tested positive, was there anything to stop them from doing that? And that is what is unclear. PK, and again, we'll talk to him about this in a bit, has sources saying that the NFL was clear, did tell them that they should not do that in any way, shape, or form. And if that's the case, the Titans have a big problem on their hands. Because not just was the facility shut down, but they were supposedly directly told, do not gather, do not have meetings, do not have workouts, do not have any sort of function with groups. Stay away from one another while we try to get a handle on this. And the idea that the Titans had multiple workouts that day, and the one at Montgomery Bell Academy that we reported on last week, had at least 15 people there. So that could be a huge problem. But here's the other side of that. Maybe the NFL didn't give them that explicit directive. Maybe they didn't know that for a fact. And if you're a player thinking, all right, we're not in the facility for a few days, we may not get any practice time at all, But at the moment, we still have a game on the schedule to play this week against an unbeaten Steelers team. How are we going to stay ready? How are we going to be prepared to go? We got to get out there. We've got to do some things. Let's find a place where we can get on a field and try to do this as safely and responsibly as possible while still understanding we've got a job to do this week. And if that's the case, I don't know if you totally fault them for that. Some people will, because they'll say it's a pandemic and you've got to be smart at all times. And if you know this is the case, you've just got to sit it out and wait. Okay, I certainly understand that point of view. But at the same time, if you feel totally fine right now at home, maybe you've been tested, maybe you haven't been tested lately, but you have no reason to believe that you've been infected. You feel great. And you have a job to do. It's how you make your money. It's how you provide for your family. It's all those sort of things. Do you go out and do something? I mean, that is the fundamental issue with the entire coronavirus in general, is the idea that it's invisible. And the idea that half of the people who get infected by it or test positive for it don't even know they have it. So the NFL's testing every single day. These guys have a pretty good idea. And the guys who went to work out, none of them had it, at least at the time. So what does that really mean? And did it violate the exact directive that the NFL gave to him? Because that's a little bit unclear. I asked Ryan Tannehill on Wednesday before that workout what he planned to do to get set for the week. And we have that here from our 5 o'clock report today of Ryan Tannehill telling me last week, about an hour before they hit the field at Montgomery Bell Academy, in vague terms, that as a player, you've got to stay ready. You've got to be sure that you're ready to go whenever they tell you that this game is going to be played.
You know, I think you can't sit around on your couch for a week and be on a Zoom meeting and expect to go be at physical peak. It's going to look a little bit different for everybody. You know, what they're able to do, where they're able to work out, in the garage, in a gym somewhere. I'm not even sure, but every man on this team is kind of charged with prepping themselves, getting their bodies right, making sure that we're running, we're conditioned, and ready to go whenever the game comes around.
Trying to stay ready, trying to be as in shape, as tuned up as you possibly could be if there was a game to come. The question is, if they were explicitly told before that, don't do it. Obviously, Ryan didn't give away many details right there. But were they explicitly told, do not gather? Because that's going to be the big question about this investigation. And here's what happened the next day. So on Thursday, Mike Vrabel was asked, what, if anything, players can do as you're in this waiting period to figure out if you're going to play a game or not during the course of the weekend. And on Thursday, they had just found out that the game was indeed postponed from the week and would move to week 7. So there was no longer a game on the table. It essentially became the Titans' bye week. And here was Mike Vrabel's response when asked that question about if the Titans players were allowed to get together at all during this time to get ready for whenever the next game might be.
We've asked our players to, in light of the recent tests, to not gather, whether that's a league protocol or us asking them, so that we can just avoid close contacts and that we can try to work through this.
So there's Mike Vrabel the day after that workout. Titans players have not gotten together to work out since that time, but St. Thomas Sports Park remains closed because of the new positive test today. And of course, we have to bring it up. But of those workouts, and we don't know exactly, we don't have a roll call of who was there. It's possible some of these guys were not. But the defensive back workout on Wednesday. On Thursday, Christian Fulton, a defensive back, tested positive. It's probably unlikely he got it from that workout if he was even there at all. But he potentially, if he was there, could have at least exposed someone while being there. And then the offensive workout, again, don't know for a fact that these guys were there, but you had Adam Humphries and Cam Batson test positive on Friday, and today now you have the positive test from Corey Davis. What impact does that have on those guys? Did they get it from working out together? Did it spread to anybody else from working out together? Those are questions that we may never get the answers to, but will continue to pop up now that this is out there and the entire country essentially is looking in on this situation, wondering if the Titans did indeed break protocols. And the answer, by the way, to Mike Vrabel's question, you heard him there say, we told them not to gather. Whether that's a league protocol or us just suggesting to do it, it doesn't really matter. Well, it does matter now. And I asked the Titans today for clarification on that exact statement to try to figure out when a directive from the league came and what they knew, what the players knew when they held these workouts. And then what Mike Vrabel exactly meant on Thursday. Was he reiterating a memo or a message from the NFL that came on Tuesday? Or did that message officially come on Thursday when the situation changed? The Titans did not respond to that request for comment today, so we don't know. But that answer is probably going to go a long way in the NFL's mind in terms of their ability to decipher whether the Titans acted carelessly or negligent and violated those protocols, and whether or not they deserve punishment. And we've heard now that the NFL is taking this very serious and will look into punishments for teams that are negligent and careless and perhaps lead to the spread of this virus either within their facility or with other teams, or impact the schedule or put teams at a competitive disadvantage. So that's where we stand right now. And on top of that, now there's serious questions of whether or not the Titans will be ready to play on Sunday now against the Bills at Nissan Stadium. Paul Kuharsky did great work on this story today as well. PaulKuharsky.com. We will get to him coming up right after this break and talk about everything he knows. Try to answer some of those questions as well. This is SportsLine on NewsChannel 5+.